Welcome to Board Game News by way of Board Game Closet. I am Bradley Johnson, so let's jump in. Our first story today, it deals with big-time geek Wil Wheaton. You might know him from such things as Stand By Me, he was the kid with the gun, or in Star Trek The Next Generation, playing Wesley, or some of you may know him as Wesley. So anyway, that's my Patrick Stewart impression. I hope you enjoyed that. So this article is brought to us by The Hollywood Reporter, where they have reported Wil Wheaton has filed a lawsuit against Legendary Digital Networks and Geek and Sundry over profits for his Titan's Grave web series. Wheaton filed the suit on grounds of breach in contract, stating that Legendary hired in 2015 him to create, write, and executive produce this web series. Wheaton says in the lawsuit that he was hired for $50,000 and 50% of net profit from the series, which Legendary had exclusive rights to distribute and promote. However, Wheaton claims that they were also required to consult meaningfully with him before doing so, and that when Legendary negotiated license agreements with Sinclair Broadcasting, Hulu, and Pluto TV, they did not inform him, which violated those terms. So Wheaton is asking for at least $100,000 in damages and a full accounting of the profits in connection with those deals. Now, of course, there's a lot of channels, Board Game Closet included, that's bringing you board game reviews and Kickstarter upcomings. And so what we wanted to do was kind of bring you some of the behind the scenes background news and interesting articles to your attention, and I think this is a great example. I'm going to try to keep my eye out on this and maybe get you some more information as this continues. So our next story deals more with the real world, as some of you may know, IRL. This comes from Tyler Morning Telegraph, and I'm assuming this is Tyler, Texas, but it looks like that they had a big family outing at a local park, and they had like some big, huge size checkers and Jenga, and also for those of you that are watching video can see they had some big time Uno cards, and I just wanted to bring to your attention they captured great feelings and emotions that I and apparently another boy has for the game Uno. Uno is not great and maybe should not be made or distributed anymore. So I just wanted to say I think Tyler Morning Telegraph, great reporting on the uselessness of Uno. If you're interested in that, like I said, that is Tyler Morning Telegraph, and they took some great pictures of some great huge 2x4 Jenga blocks, some great checkers, and the checkers are like as big as your head. It's great. So I just want to bring that to your attention that Uno is useless. So moving on, today marks a week since GenCon, the 52nd GenCon, and I hope you all had a great time. I did. This is my second time going. I went year before last, and it was just so much better. Even this year, I had so much fun. And anyway, August 5th, GenCon issued a press release that had some very interesting numbers in it, and I wanted to bring those to your attention because maybe you didn't know, and I didn't. And I just think it's great. I think it's awesome. And a lot of those numbers, a lot of these statistics are being figured up since GenCon moving to Indianapolis in 2003. This year, there was nearly 70,000 unique attendees. And of course, if you were on the ground floor, this is not going to be a shock to you. A record-breaking 538 exhibiting companies. So that's incredible. 538 booths where companies were represented there on that ground floor, and obviously that's not going to be a shock to a lot of people. There was so much to see this year, and I loved it all. Also, an all-time high of 19,600 ticketed events. So that's an incredible number. I cannot wrap my head around that. And actually, when I rode with the Board Game Closet crew this year, And when arriving, I actually downloaded the GenCon app on my phone, and an unofficial GenCon app as well. And actually, there were closer to 21,000. I think it was 20,700. So it may be 1,000 more events on the app that were represented there. So I don't know if maybe those were outside of the hall that all that was in. But anyway, 20,000, 21,000, whatever, that's a ton of events. I think that's super exciting. Tabletop is everywhere. You have more and more, like the Tyler report, you have more and more quote unquote normies that are coming into this world. And I think it's incredible to meet new people, not only locally, but just from around the world. And you've got 20,000 events to meet these people. So anyway, moving on. Last year in 2018, Gen Con launched live streaming efforts, and they attracted 6,900 unique viewers this year. And they watched a combined 3 million minutes with this live stream. There were a couple of board game stores that stream these events and everything, and so you can read more about that in the article. This is on the Gen Con website. So moving on, I think it's interesting too about some local statistics. This is coming from Indianapolis Mayor Mr. Joe Hogsett. He says, for residents and visitors alike, Gen Con provides a one-of-a-kind experience that lives up to its moniker as the best 4 days in gaming. Each year, Gen Con sets records and expands its impact here in Indianapolis, providing attendees a quality convention experience as well as connectivity to our city's world-class restaurants, etc., etc. Now, here is the interesting part. Here is some juicy numbers that I cannot get over, resulting in a local economic impact of nearly $70 million. $70 million. Wow. 4 days of gaming. There is a ton of money flowing into the convention itself, but then to think between hotels and restaurants, we're spending $70 million this weekend. That is hard for me to believe. Here's another hard to believe number. This year, Gen Con is redoubling its focus on sustainability with 100% of show signage printed on recycled materials. That is one thing that I would have never thought about. There are a ton of advertising there in the convention, I mean, I'm all for that. I'm all for saving the environment and all that, even as little ways as 100% show signage printed on recycled materials. I love that. Keep it up, Gen Con. I love that. Just one more thing I wanted to bring to your attention. Gen Con 2019 attendees helped to raise over $35,000 for the convention's 2019 charity partners, Game to Grow and Special Olympics Indiana. $35,000 for charity. I think that's incredible. Not only is the show signage recyclable, but now we're raising $35,000 for charity. This says Gen Con has raised over $335,000 since the charity began in 2003 when Gen Con came to Indianapolis. So anyway, read this article. It's great. There's a lot of great information here. This is just kind of the high points. Staying in con news, I know a lot of people are into the True Dungeon, where it's D&D in real life. You have actors playing NPCs, and even the board game closet in our kind of bird's eye view of Gen Con walkthrough video that we did last year and we're doing again this year. Kind of walks you through that if you need a closer look. But True Dungeon is coming to PAX West, which I think is really just great. Again, it shows D&D is huge right now. Everyone's into it, and a True Dungeon is just another manifestation of that. The encounter is called Abysmal Swamp, and I think you can expect to find just as good a quality there at PAX West as you would Gen Con. Of course, they've been around since 2003. And I know a lot of people that are super excited about True Dungeon every year. and I think this will be no different. So keep your eye out on that, and hopefully we'll see more of this growth everywhere else. So to wrap things up, our last story is about Pop Funko. These things are everywhere. You see them in Target, you see 'em in Walmart, you see them in flea markets. Even these little vinyl figurines are everywhere, and you just never really think. At least I don't really think much about the stock exchange and what how Funko is doing in the stock exchange and things like that. And so I found this article on Yahoo Finance, and not only does it say a lot for Pop, but it says a lot for their CEO too. And I think you'll find this interesting. So again, this is Yahoo Finance, and this is a few quotes from CEO Mr. Brian Mariotti. The pop culture toy maker Funko had a blowout second quarter. Strong sales of toys tied to, of course, Endgame. If you haven't seen it yet, what are you doing? Netflix Stranger Things. Wow, wow, wow. That was incredible. And of course, Toy Story 4. My wife and I just saw that the other day. If you're into the franchise, you need to go see that. That is great. It was incredible. Of course, those IPs helped sales rocket 38% compared to a year ago. So they're up 38% from a year ago. That's a huge number. The company also raised its outlook for the rest of the year clearly because now they have, if you were at GenCon, of course, this strategic game that they've come out. You can play like I guess Batman versus Harry Potter characters, Golden Girls against Rick and Morty. Like I think this is going to be another huge thing. They just have their finger on the pulse, as they say. So anyway, the CEO tells Yahoo Finance that he's not concerned about an economic slowdown ruining the party for whatever their success. Now, here's where it's just blowing my mind. He says, "We're recession proof." This is a direct quote from him. We are recession proof. Now, I do not know anyone or any business that could even claim that, but he goes on to say, uh, that they have experienced tremendous growth over the past 15 years, including the Great Recession of 2008 and 2009. Now, that may be true, but to say that they're going so strong that he is recession proof seems just crazy. He says our products bring happy joy to people for not a lot of money. And I'm sure that's true, but that's amazing. Funko has already brought plenty of joy to investors who have seen a nearly 83% rise in stock price so far this year and a whopping 242% increase over the past five, not 10, not 15, over the past 5 years. So if maybe you're a board gamer that likes stocks and is into that market exchange, maybe you need to be looking at that because that's amazing and it's blowing my mind. Anyway, so that's the news from this week. I hope that was interesting to you. Like I said, no board game reviews here. I just wanted to bring you some statistics and numbers and just show you that this board game industry is not going anywhere right now. It is hot on fire. Of course, you knew that, and now the rest of the world knows that. So again, my name is Bradley Johnson. Today is August 11th, and remember, support your local hobby shop.